everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Paranormal Minds. I'm your host, Shannon Ray, and thank you for tuning in this week as we have very special guest, Ben Hansen. Before I bring Ben in, I do want to give you a little bit about him in case you've been locked in a hole for the past 2 years and don't know anything about him. Ben is most well known as a television host and lead investigator on Sci-Fi Channel's Fact or Fake Paranormal Files. In his free time, Ben lectures and appears at conferences across the country. This official information about Ben, he will be appearing and, he's kind of hit a button. We're getting there. Ben leads a team of 5 specialists who travel along the world looking for answers of these mysteries and fact or faked. Confronting the relationships of seeing and believing, the team has witnessed and documented dozens of unbelievable events. Many people recite the phrase, "I'll believe it when I see it," balancing an inanimate human longing for rational explanation with the acceptance of witnessing undeniable strange events. Ben is also the president and co-founder of Night Vision Ops, which he will be talking about with us this evening as well. So without further ado, I want to bring in Ben Hansen and tell him a lovely hello. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in, doing pretty good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being on. If I can stop hitting crazy buttons on my keyboard, I'll be in great shape. All right, so
very cool.
So what made you become interested? I want to kind of start off with the paranormal field first, and then we'll kind of move into night vision ops. What kind of made you become interested in the paranormal field?
Well, I guess when people say paranormal, it includes a lot of different phenomena. And some things interested me early on, and others I kind of took an interest to later. Like the ghost hunting stuff. When I was a kid, I was taught that the ghosts don't exist. I have always believed in life after death, but when you talk about ghosts, it was things like, cartoons like Casper, or, stuff where you hear stories and, high school, everyone wanted to go to the cemetery and you do this thing, a ghost will pop out, and so it was all just fun and games. And I honestly never thought that being an adult, I would believe in ghosts. Like I did as a kid. So my first interest in that was really kind of during college, when it was a time when the EVP stuff was still really not that well known, and they were playing some, recordings of things that people were saying they were getting, tape recorders, and playing them on the radio stations, and I thought, okay, well, let's go try this. And I didn't expect anything to happen. And went with some friends and, actually caught some very clear voices that I couldn't explain. So that kind of started the interest in the ghost hunting. And then with the UFO stuff, I've always been interested in that since I can remember, like 5 years old. And it started with collecting, different newspaper clippings and things, anything that he talked about UFOs, and I was just so fascinated with any movie or anything that dealt with the subject, and so I read a lot of books that my other friends were not reading.
Yeah. And it was,
so
when I was coming up too, it was a really big taboo subject. You didn't look in, now it's okay to be doing that, but I started this when I was 16 in this field, and it was really a taboo topic. You didn't go and tell your friends, hey, I go and, hunt ghosts or look in the sky for UFOs. That's just not something that you went and talked about.
No, you're right. It felt like, maybe not necessarily that I was doing anything wrong, but it was nerdy, it was geeky, and it's really kind of funny because, it seemed like in the past probably 20, 25 years, you started to see this kind of whole attitude change towards it. And if you, look at the surveys, most people do believe in this phenomena. It's just that the academics, by and large, academic community hasn't accepted it as a something worthwhile to study yet. So it's changing, but it is kind of interesting because we're talking about things and we're investigating things that we did as children.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, my next question for you, and for any of you that want to know more about Night Vision Ops or about Ben in general, his website is directly above my head, www.benhanson.com. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to shoot them in the chat box, and I'll ask Ben. But if not, I'll keep with my questions. So the concept for Fact or Fake, Ben, where did that come from? Because it's a great concept for a show. How did that kind of fall into your lap?
Well, it kind of did fall into my lap. I mean, I'd heard that a production company was looking to do a paranormal show. I really had no experience in TV. I mean, I think I took a TV and film class once in college, and I was looking at some other options at the time, but I had a team that was sort of an informal. Not like we had a website or anything like that, but, you know, it was kind of one of those things where, hey, we heard that you guys are into this. Would you come to our house with your equipment? You know, type of a thing. And my team that I presented to the production company, they loved us. They said, yeah, you guys are it. So come in, and I remember we went to Paramount Studios, was where their office is located. We're on the studio lot and thinking, wow, this is really happening. It's crazy. Sat down the first meeting, and producer says, okay, well, what do you guys think the show should be about? I don't know much about TV, but typically I thought they had ideas that, you know, were sold or something, and then they start casting for them. So
yeah.
It was kind of, you know, a little bit of a letdown because, like, oh, well, I guess we're a long ways from having a TV show, but it was cool at the same time because we were able to start from the ground level and really had some input. So we put together probably anywhere between 60 to 80% of our original idea was what the show is now. We didn't have so much of an emphasis on, you know, a rigid, hey, we've got to do 2 or 3 experiments, but it was all about testing video. It was all about capturing, you know, what people put on YouTube and looking into these things to start investigations. The main thing what I told them was, look, we're seeing a lot of shows, and you know, they'd never done a paranormal show. They did great TV, but they never really did they had one other show that was on the subject. And I said most of them are going out and they're waiting for things to happen. You know, go to a haunted house, see if it's haunted. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's observation-based. And I was thinking, look, why isn't there a show out there that's really taking alleged evidence that people have in the first place, testing that, seeing if there's alternative explanations, and then seeing if that location is supposedly haunted or whatever. So that's kind of what come on, you know, and then we started, you know, going online and spent just hours and hours, you know, looking at probably every ghost video on YouTube and
yeah.
everything else, and the show kind of came together like that.
Well, that's really cool. So, Fact and Fake covers a variety of unexplainable paranormal topics. Within those topics, would you be able to pick out one that you prefer over the other?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's probably no secret to people who know me that I would say I know far more about the UFO subject than I do ghost hunting and things. And probably because, I mean, ghost hunting does have a history, definitely. There are people who are inventors, even back to, you know, Edison and, you know, his ideas of capturing voices and things. And, there are inventors, there are trailblazers in the study, but ufology is more, they're dates and they're facts. And there's kind of a narrative of, you know, you talk about Roswell, you talk about all of these other, you know, significant cases that, you know, maybe the government was involved with this or that. And so those are the types of things I was reading and just absorbing like a sponge. And I know far more about that than I do the other phenomena, and I lecture on it as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, we do have a question from our chat room. Have you ever said that something was fake, or that you later found out it actually was fact?
Well, I don't know that I would even go as far to kind of, I guess, being like a politician. I don't know that I would ever come out and say something was fact either. I mean, by saying fact, am I saying that I have definitive proof, that we have alien visitations here on Earth? No, I don't. But maybe something that I thought was faked or explained, and then it was still unexplained, and maybe further supported the other hypothesis. Yeah, had a number of those cases.
Yeah.
There were, I'm trying to think of one in particular, was the house in Florida, the David Eckhart and his family. We had this alien creature that was kind of, he and his wife were experiencing some very strange things, waking up in the middle of the night, and they would see glowing light in their room. And it was like 3 a.m., so several hours before dawn. And having nightmares that coincided with each other. So he set up these cameras and started experimenting with strobe lights and mirrors and everything. Started coming up with very, very strange images. And one of them has this, looks like a sort of a child type height creature entity, like coming around the side of his bathroom door. And I'm thinking, okay, right, this looks too perfect. And, but interviewing him and his wife, I really felt like they were being truthful as to what they experienced. Not necessarily meaning that their interpretation is what happened, but I really don't feel like we found any evidence that they were involved in a hoax. Mm-hmm. And we did have a few things there that also were strange, some strange sounds and things like that. So I can't come down on someone like that and say, okay, well, you faked that. I don't have proof that they faked it.
Yeah.
For us, it's still unresolved. And a similar thing in Colorado, another family, very strange activity of like orbs, faces showing up in photos. You can't even pin down whether is it a haunting, is it a UFO thing. It seems to be a combination of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could pick one thing out of everything that you experienced while making the Fact or Fake show that you valued learning most, what would it be?
A case that I value the most?
Mm-hmm. Like something that you had an experience and that you learned something new that you value the most.
Well, I've had an open mind about pretty much everything, and I've heard of things happening, where people see objects moving by themselves and stuff like that. And so I didn't think that wasn't possible, but to see that for the first time was kind of cool. I mean, I was in Indiana in a cemetery and watched leaves as they were moving on their own. And I know that sounds like, oh, yeah, leaves moving on their own. No, this was actually, I watched no wind whatsoever. I watched a pile of leaves depressed in the shape of a footprint right in front of my face.
Yeah.
And then individual leaves floating a couple inches above the ground, hovering and being turned upside down and then being put back down again. So I have no explanation. There were no strings. There's no one hiding behind a tree. There's nobody, it was just me. So I've had other accounts where, Tombstone, Arizona, we had one of our lights thrown down the hallway. We've had our camera destroyed. It was sitting in an equipment case, in North Carolina on the battleship. And so those are kind of the most memorable ones, because each time something like that happens, you just kind of add it to your list of okay, I can't really discount everything other people say, without listening to them fairly, because I've seen it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a hardcore skeptic, when you first see something like flung across the room or something move that's not supposed to move, it blows your mind. It does take you for like a really trippy kind of experience. Because you're like, this is not making sense in my mind. Like, it's not, you're trying to discount it, but there's just no reason. There's nothing to explain it besides something paranormal occurring.
Yeah, for sure.
On Fact and Faked, we have seen you work with mysteries with UFOs and ghosts. Of the two areas, which would you consider most interested and why? I know you've already said you're more interested in UFOs, but why?
Well, that's a good question, because I think primarily it holds the most questions for me. Like when you talk about ghosts, right? If you believe in a life after death like I do, I believe that when you die, that spirit remains pretty much maybe in the same places it was familiar with, in life or somewhere like that. So for me, the question is not, what is it? I think I pretty well understand that. But for me, it's like, how? How are we able to capture it with our technology and start to catch up to, what some people consider is not science? Well, I think it is. I think we're just starting to catch up to measure and quantify and record these things. But with UFOs, to me, it's not just the how, it's the who. Who is this? Is it simply, advanced military technology, or are we really being visited, from other worlds? And how are they getting here? How are they moving in and out of our world or traveling to our world? So there's a lot more questions with that than I think there are for me with ghost hunting. That's kind of why it intrigues me a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's understandable. I like ghost hunting. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool because so much work still needs to be done in, the UFO field that, I think it's really cool. I understand that you do a lot of work and you believe strongly in volunteering. Can you explain your contributions and why disaster preparedness is so important to you?
Yeah, I've been a big proponent. Well, I'm an Eagle Scout, so it's kind of born in my blood that, be prepared.
Yeah.
But I'm a big proponent of volunteerism. I really, kind of the whole reason we're here on Earth is to help other people and, kind of figure it out together. I don't think that living a life of your own goals of fame or fortune or whatever it is gets you anywhere. You can't take it with you. And if you want to feel good and you want to feel like you're doing something significant, then volunteer. And with the disaster stuff, I work on, I volunteer for Huntington Beach, CERT, which is a federal program, disaster response team, and Red Cross and some others that I work with. But I also believe that being prepared is a individual responsibility, and personal accountability, I think, is something that we've taught. Whether it's getting in debt and expecting someone else to bail you out of it,
Yeah.
or having a big major earthquake or hurricane or something like you guys, you have major storms that hit you every so often down there. And we know what's going to happen. We were told, look, there's not many places in the country you can go anywhere without some major disaster that's eventually going to hit. So are you going to sit there and wait for the government to come save you or something like that? And I think it's ridiculous, because we've seen time and time again how not only does that not work, but I don't think it's their responsibility.
Yeah.
So I try to remind people of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a excuse me, that's a really good concept to drive home, Next, I want to kind of swap gears to night vision ops because it's your newest kind of project, I think. How did the idea of night vision ops come about? Did that one just fall into your lap too?
Yeah, well, we had been doing some, I've always been doing the ghost hunting events. People, hire me to come out, we'll give lectures, then we do investigations to the public. And we just started doing some events dealing with UFOs. And there was a guy that was kind of local that worked for Bushnell, and I heard that he liked to go out to these things, and he brought some equipment. So we were out there, skywatching. I was like, you know what, we'd use these same scopes on our show, but I didn't have my own, and I was really looking to buy one. Because I've seen things in the sky, and there's nothing like, even, I had a sighting Friday that I put up on my website and everything, and one of the first questions people ask is, well, did you record it? I'm like, no. In the first place, it lasted 5 seconds. There was no way I could reach over to grab my phone and hit record.
Yeah.
But in the second place, even if you have something like that and you just got your cell phone, low light is not the capability of, smartphones is so poor. Even though they're, such great technology, you can't film in your complete darkness something in the sky. So I was like, I need this.
Yeah.
That's one of those things I need for me to have, near me, in case I want to film something. So anyways, I bought one of their scopes, and then they called me one day and told me to come over to their office. And they're like, look, your show, the people that you go to, the conferences, and the fact that I also am a firearms instructor, and they have a lot of, like gun weapon sites and things. And they said, you cover a lot of the same audience that we were trying to market to. Would you want to be our spokesperson? So I said, sure. And they set me up. So Night Vision Ops, we sell the equipment that Bushnell's night vision line makes. Mm-hmm. And thermals, night vision. The other thing I think is really cool is that, every paranormal team that I've talked to, kind of the holy grail of equipment is a thermal. Mm-hmm. And, they can be useful in many situations, but they're so expensive. They've been like $5,000 to $7,000 for a long time.
Yeah, like the really good ones are like $12,000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, if you're an individual or a group, that might be something you're looking at buying. And now we've got them for about $2,700, and I can even probably get a little bit more discount off of that. There's times with features, like there's nothing wrong with FLIR. FLIR's been awesome with us on our show. But for, overall best value of the most features, I think that paranormal groups are looking for, I really recommend, it's called the TMX, TM-X is one of them that we sell. And then, of course, if you want to film at night, we've got iPhone adapters that hook right up to the night vision, and you can record in full HD.
That is cool.
It's really cool, and you can add that to your toolkit.
You don't have it for Android?
What's that?
You don't have that adapter for the Android phone?
For the Android, I'm trying to get them to do it because I don't actually own an iPhone. I'm looking at buying a used one at the moment just so I can show people how it works.
That is so biased.
I've got a Galaxy 3, and I'm trying to get their little techie guys to see if they can make something. The problem is, and Apple's been smart about this, is they make every phone the same with slight variation. With Androids, how many different types do you have? Like the camera lens just doesn't line up in the same place. Mm-hmm. And that's what these adapters go into a thing, has to line up with the scope. And so I would like to see something made for that, though.
Yeah, because Androids are better, just saying. So my next question, with the thermal and everything that you were talking about just then, does it do the same things and have the same recording capabilities as FLIR does?
Even better, I would say. You know, FLIR came out with, if you look at our first seasons of Fact or Fake, when we use our FLIR camera, you'll notice that we put a backpack on, and we always have the backpack. It's because we've had to hook up cables that go from the FLIR camera or scope. It's not really a camera because it doesn't record on board. Mm-hmm. And we had to have cables go to a mini cassette recorder in our backpack, which was, to me, made no sense. I'm like, come on, guys. But you see, like FLIR, primarily, they don't make ghost hunting equipment for ghost hunters. What they make are, measuring devices for people who are looking for heating leaks or electrical problems, and they don't usually have to record, what they're looking at. So, anyways, they only recently started putting in built-in SD cards, and there's a couple cameras they have out there that have them. But a lot of them still don't even have that. So what the TMX I was talking to you about has a built-in SD card, or you can take those cables and put it out to a monitor too if you're like at your base station and you want to have a camera on a tripod. And it's got, I don't want to just sit here and sound like I'm plugging the heck out of it, but when people ask me, what kind of camera we get, I'd say I'd get that. It's got live tracking, so if you set it up, and it's kind of like the full spectrum cams that have that little square that will follow around motion. Same type of thing.
Wow.
So if that square is moving, it's detecting heat movement in your picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's pretty cool stuff.
And with the affordability, like the biggest thing is the affordability. When you have affordability and more people out there using it, the more likely you are for more people to capture these kind of phenomenons that we can use to help advance the field. So,
for sure.
Just
for
the
sure.
way, just the way I think.
People will take it more seriously, and it's not something that you maybe just wake up one day unless you got a lot of money. It's like I'll go buy one of these. They see that. People have put some serious thought into this. They're trying to get the best technology has to offer, and they learn how to use it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't expand this field or, have this field be taken more seriously if, people can't have the equipment to use to be able to collect evidence. So I think that's great. Excuse me. You've been...
Yeah.
Huh?
I was just going to say, if people go to the website, just make sure that... you tell me, send me a message, and if you're looking to buy something, tell me that you heard it on this radio show, and then that way I can give you a little bit of a discount.
Absolutely. Paranormal Minds, and it's up above my head, Ben's website. It's www.benhansen.com, and it's been across all night on the show, so we will be able to get lots of people great equipment. Okay, so my next question to you is, you've been on a national show, but when you're not doing the show, what do you like to do? Like, what has Ben doing his fun time? Oh, no, we lost him. Give me 1 second. Let me try to get him back. He's actually driving through Las Vegas. Give me 2 seconds, and I'll be right back. Alright, while I'm working on getting Ben back on the line, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of news. Paranormal news. I was going to do this at the end, but I'll go ahead and do it now. Kind of fitting in with what Ben was talking about with UFOs and things of that nature. This topic and this title of this article comes from the English sammaylive.com in the technology section. It says, world's largest radio telescope may confirm alien life by 2024. Humans could make contact with alien life within 12 years with the aid of the world's largest radio telescope, a leading UFO expert has claimed. One of the key questions, whether extraterrestrial life exists, could be answered by 2024 with the development of a supersized 1.3 billion pounds radio telescope, the online media reported. The development of the Square Kilometre Array, or the SKA telescope, will unleash new and exciting possibilities, according to the former UK Military of Defense UO project leader Nick Pope. Nick Pope says, I will be controversial and give you the exact year of when I believe first confirmation of contact will be made, and that is 2024. The year in which, if everything goes according to plan, the Square Kilometre Array, or the SKA, will be fully operational. Pope, who studied UFO sightings at the MOD for 21 years, said the SKA should be started and operational in 2016. It is said to be the world's largest radio telescope and will answer some of the fundamental unanswered questions of our universe. Made up of thousands of radio wave receptors covering 4921 square kilometers of the Earth's surface in the Australian outback, scientists have claimed it will provide alternate views of the universe than those seen with the optical telescope. Scientists leading its development have suggested the SKA will be 50 times more sensitive and will survey the sky 10,000 times faster than any other telescope. It will give astronomers insight into the formation of evolution of the first stars and galaxies after the Big Bang, if that's what you believe, the role of cosmic magnetism, the nature of gravity, and the possibility of even life beyond, a spokesman for the SKA said, which is, like I mentioned, the nickname for the telescope. If there is a civilization with 100 light years, this telescope could find it. We are now beginning to have technology, whether it's the SKA or maybe other telescopes, that are being developed that will allow these possibilities. We are searching all the time for a shadow Earth, Pope added. So, with that being said, extraterrestrial life could be confirmed as soon as 2024, if you believe this guy Pope, which I believe is really cool, that we are continuously building up more and more cool equipment to power up and to look further out there. And sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, because I think if we find it, some of us might be a little bit scared. So hopefully I'm going to try to get Ben back one more time. If not, I got another plan. I'm a woman with all the plans. So give me just a minute and we'll be right back. And here we go. guys, and we're back. So I guess Ben's just lost service. He's driving around the Las Vegas area. So what we're going to do is I'll finish out the night with paranormal news. So, yeah, that's all we can really do. Anyways, the University of Ohio baseball players think a ghost is stealing their girlfriend's underwear. Here we go. You know I like to keep it kind of fresh. We had the serious with the alien telescope, and now we're having the funky with the underwear. 5 University of Iowa baseball players and 1 hockey player claim they are being haunted by ghosts that move TV remotes, change the channels on the TV, and even steal the underwear right off their girlfriend's bodies while they're sleeping. The students moved into a house near the Iowa campus in Iowa City 2 years ago, according to Deadspin, but claims that paranormal activity there has increased only recently. One student says he saw the ghostly figure of a little girl in his room. Others attest to a chair being moved around the kitchen. One player said he inexplicably became depressed and had low energy when he walked into his bedroom. But the strangest unsolved mystery of all, of course, is the underwear thing. The Daily Ohioan has more. On 2 separate occasions, girlfriends of players have had underwear removed from them while sleeping, even though they were wearing pants. Each time the undergarments were discovered in another place. Weird, right? If it's true. Even the experts agree this isn't merely paranoia. After learning the house was previously a funeral home in the 1920s, the players eventually called the Iowa Paranormal Activity Support Team, which identified 2 ghosts that lived in the house. One named Tim, described as an older, grandfatherly type, and another smaller girl. The students do not plan to renew their lease next year. Alright, let me explain what my problem is with this article. Number 1, I really don't understand how women's underwear can get pulled off while they're sleeping and they have their pants on. Number 2, I am such a stickler for people naming ghosts. How do you know this grandfatherly figure's name is Tim? Did he tell you? Did he come to you and say, hey, what's up? My name's Tim? I mean, come on. People, we do not have to give these spirits names unless they tell us what their names are. And even then, that same spirit might not come back. We have to keep things legitimate and intelligent and scientific within this field, or people are going to continue to take us as a joke. When I go in to a location, the first thing I do, they'll say, oh, I think this, or I think this. And I'm like, wait, I don't want to know what you think the names are. I want to know your experiences. I want to know a little bit of the history, but I want to make my own opinions, unbiased altogether, and be able to say, hey, this is what this is, or this is not what it is, and have the scientific facts to prove it. History and research and all that good stuff can come later to start fitting pieces together. Idealistically, a paranormal investigator to have more than one chance at a location, to be able to go in blind, then to have the history and the research done, and then to come back and to be able to say, okay, this is what I got the first time, this is the history, let's put them together and let's live in holy matrimony, so to speak. The next thing that really bothers me about this article is, I mean, it really kind of makes a joke and a mockery of the paranormal field. I am so over these places that make a joke and a mockery of the field. I have never, in my 10 years of being in this field, heard of a woman getting her panties removed in the getting her panties removed in, you know, the process of being asleep or whatever the next would be. So yeah, still not buying it, guys. I'm really sorry. Moving on, like I said, I'm going to keep on trying to get back Ben as we go. Moving on, let's try him one more time. As I'm doing this, we will move on to haunted house on eBay for €1. Imagine if you could buy a house just because it was haunted for €1 here in the United States. I think you'd be a really happy person. Maybe not. So this comes from news.com.au. And like I said, I'm trying Ben back again. He's driving around the Las Vegas area, kind of thinking on my toes right now. I kind of think he lost cell phone service. He had mentioned that it was a possibility. So we'll just make it work. In the meantime, haunted house on eBay for $1. or €1, I'm sorry, euro and dollar kind of transitions over. A house which has been described by its owner as being haunted has been listed on eBay for just €1. On the first version of eBay, Mod 69620, who listed the house, has stated the house is haunted by spirits after a murder allegedly took place there during the 1950s. While the murder was never officially confirmed, as their bodies were never found, the former owner's bodies were discovered to be buried in a nearby field. Paranormal incidents have reportedly become witnessed in and around the house, including random knocks on the windows, strange voices and murmurs, weird noises, and moving objects. The house is located in Arabissal in the Rhone-Alpes region of France and is a 110 square meter home on a 350 square meter block of land. While many have questioned the authenticity of the eBay auction, the owner has stated it is real and anyone who believes the spirit world should contact her. So my question to you is, if your house was haunted, would you sell it for $1? And would you put it on eBay? I don't know about that. I'd buy it and use it or something, I think. But you know how that goes with people and not being able to truly solidify if it is true or not. So, with that being said, I do want to kind of go back, because I know Ben's not here, but I did, really want to talk about night vision ops, because they do offer so many great things to paranormal investigators. Like Ben was saying, they offer, the thermal imaging camera, which a good one is usually like $12,000. They offer those, for excuse me, they offer those for around $2,700. And like Ben was saying, if you contact the website, which is on your screen right now, and say that you heard this on the show, he'll even hook you up with a little bit more of a discount. So it's benhanson.com. But moving back to night vision ops, because like I said, it really is like a great thing that Ben has been doing and has going on, and what I really wanted to talk to him about, and we were just getting into right before. Let me fill you guys in on a little bit about it. Since Ben's not here to do it, I'll promo for him. Why not? Night Vision Ops is a technology online retail store operating under the company Intel Productions, LLC. Night Vision Ops focuses on innovation products that enhance the various industries and services which utilize night vision and specialized video equipment. Co-owner and Night Vision Ops president Ben Hanson comes from a background of federal law enforcement, firearms instructing, TV hosting, and executive production. Ben and his staff understand the specific needs and requirements of various industry services and individuals that utilize night vision technologies. CEO Dr. M. David Hanson is a research and development expert with an eye for systems integration, creative uses of technologies we offer, and support and administration. Most of the products you will find listed for sale on the site are developed and sold by Night Optics USA, whose parent company is well-known and respected international outdoor product company Bushnell. In business for more than 20 years now, Night Optics USA offers and assembles products manufactured in the USA with very few exceptions. Their unparalleled quality of product material and concentration is backed by their excellent reputation within the international community and their association with Bushnell Company. Buy a night vision system for personal use or for deployment within your agency or organization is an important decision which can result in a costly mistake. I've had many people contact me and go, "Hey Shannon, I bought this DVR system and it's really bad," and I'm like, you should have done the research. And a lot of paranormal investigators make this mistake. If you are doing business with the wrong company, within most of the well-known night vision companies are manufacturers and distributors who are constantly forthright with their advertising of actual technology components they offer for sale. Bushnell and Night Optics USA are names you can trust and are not cut corners in workmanship, misrepresent their product line, or falter in their integrity. Ben Hanson was approached by the Night Vision USA and asked to become a spokesperson for the company because of his expertise in many of the diverse activities and services where night vision is frequently used. Whether you're looking for night vision or thermal system for use in law enforcement, security, firefighting, TV, film production, hunting, camping, or sport applications, military applications, sky watching, and search or rescue, let them help you find the perfect system for your needs. It's what they do. Please contact them with any questions that you may have. Once again, the website is right below. For additional information about Night Vision Ops co-owner and president Ben Henson, please visit his website at www.benhanson.com. There you'll find information about the TV production, projects, and events and appearances, firearms instruction, and more. Woohoo! That was fun. Okay, so yeah, like Ben was telling us, this is some really great stuff, and it's really awesome. They have this thing you can hook up to your iPhone, and that you can get infrared and take really good visual infrared shots on your iPhone. And they also have the thermal imager, which is relatively affordable considering the fact that some of them are $12,000 and these are selling for $2,700. And like Ben said, if you visit his website, which is on your screen again right now, you can get it for $2,700, and if you mention the show, he'll even discount it a little bit more for you. So definitely go and check it out if you do nothing else, because that would be a good investment. So, for sure. All right. The next thing we're going to do, since we finished out Night Vision Ops, I'm so sorry we lost Ben tonight. Hopefully we might be able to get him on at a later time when he's not driving around Las Vegas. But we want to finish out with paranormal news. And I know some people, this is like their favorite thing when I rip apart some of these stories that are ridiculous. I still can't believe like people really publish these stories. I mean, they're seriously, look at this. They're published on the web, and that's scary. But we make it work around these parts. So here I go. I'm about to have fun with another one. Haunted house discounts in Hong Kong scared off by housing boom. Yeah. Okay. This is at realestate.aol.com, and this is at the blog. The only thing more terrifying than a haunted house, a housing boom. So says one Hong Kong man who told the Wall Street Journal that since real estate prices have spiked, buying an old-fashioned horror house sure isn't what it used to be. You see, stigmatized properties such as where the previous tenant and owner died of unnatural causes tend to sell at discounts, because if you're going to buy a haunted house, it's better to be at 50% off, and that is great for a real estate investor who buys stigmatized properties for a song, flip them for a profit. But Hong Kong's recent housing boom has driven prices up so far that now the average haunted house discount is only 5% below market value, the journal noted. Okay, so basically we're saying that haunted houses in Hong Kong had a discount of about 50%, so to give and take. Now because of the housing boom, they're only about 5%. Yeah, would you live in a haunted house? Just asking. The market is crazy now, Law said, adding that he was able to buy only one haunted house, or hongza, as it's called in Cantonese, in 2012, because the prices have shot up so high, so it's making this hard for people to just rip people off. But there may be a little consolation. He's able to rent a few of his properties at market rate. All my tenants are very happy, Lou said. Not one has complained that they've seen a ghost. Phew! Well, then feel free to troll some haunted house listings in Hong Kong. If you're like lawyer Aaron Belslide, living in ghosts should be a piece of cake. Belslide told the Journal about his experience renting for $1,700 a month a two-level penthouse in Hong Kong. That's 40% below market price in the area. He put it simple. It is a great location with a rooftop garden. I'd live with a ghost for that price. So good news, Mr. Liu. You can really sell them or rent anything. Now, how about you head out our way and try your luck with Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood home, still on the market for $329,000. We hear it's lovely. So, with that being said, would you rent a haunted house or buy a haunted house? I think in certain parts of this country, you even have to disclose that it's haunted. So, you know, I don't know. It'd be fun, right? With that being said, I do want to talk about what is coming up next week on Paranormal Minds. Next week, we're going to have Paranormal Team Showcase with Family Paranormal. Previously, Pearson Mann Paranormal Investigations. They have a show here on Penn, and I'm going to showcase them and pick their brains and figure out why they changed the name of their group. Because why not? I'm sure there's something interesting behind all of that. With that being said, I am so sorry that I could not get Ben Hansen back tonight. I'm sure he's such a super nice guy. I'm sure he's not happy about it at all. But hopefully we'll have him back on a later date. At least we had him for about 30 minutes when we did have him. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to Paranormal Minds and our technical experiences. Technical difficulties experiences, because that seems like all I have around this place. But thank you for tuning in tonight, and I hope you did enjoy having Ben Hansen on for about 30 minutes, and hopefully I'll be able to get him back sometime soon, so that way I can finish questioning him about night vision ops, which, like I said, has some cool technology. Check it out for sure. The website is up on your screen right now, www.benhansen.com. Be sure to join us next week as we interview and team showcase Phantom Elite Paranormal for the Paranormal Team Showcase. Like I said, be sure to tune in right here next week, same time, same place, no technical difficulties. Crossing our fingers, and I will see you next week. Everyone have a wonderful week. Thanks for tuning in.
Kiki, and it's really kind of funny because, I mean, it seems like in the past probably 20, 25 years, you started to see this kind of whole attitude change toward it. And if you look at the surveys, most people do believe in this phenomena. It's just that the academics, by and large, academic community hasn't accepted it as a something worthwhile to study yet. So it's changing, but it is kind of interesting because we're talking about things and we're investigating things that we did as children.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my next question for you, and for any of you that want to know more about night vision ops or about Ben in general, his website is directly above my head, www.benhansen.com. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to shoot them in the chat box, and I'll ask Ben. But if not, founder of Night Vision Ops, which he will be talking about with us this evening as well. So without further ado, I want to bring in Ben Hansen and tell him a lovely hello. Hi, Ben. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in, doing pretty
good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being on. If I can stop hitting crazy buttons on my keyboard, I'll be in great shape. All right, so
very, very cool.
So what made you become interested? I want to kind of start off with the paranormal field first, and then we'll kind of move into night vision ops. What kind of made you become interested in the paranormal field?
Well, I guess when people say paranormal, it includes a lot of different phenomena. And some things interested me early on, and others I kind of took an interest to later. Like the ghost hunting stuff. When I was a kid, I was taught that ghosts don't exist. I have always believed in life after death, but when you talk about ghosts, it was things like cartoons like Casper, or stuff where you hear stories and. High school, everyone wanted to go to the cemetery, and you do this thing, ghosts will pop out, and so it was all just fun and games. And I honestly never thought that being an adult, I would believe in ghosts, even as a kid. So my first interest in that was really kind of during college, when it was a time when the EVP stuff was still really not that well known, and they were playing some, recordings of things that people were saying they were getting, tape recorders, and playing them on the radio stations. And I thought, okay, well, let's go try this. And I didn't expect anything to happen. And went with some friends, and actually caught some very clear voices that I couldn't explain. So that kind of started the interest in the ghost hunting, and then.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Paranormal Minds. I'm your host, Shannon Ray, and thank you for tuning in this week as we have very special guest, Ben Hansen. Before I bring Ben in, I do want to give you a little bit about him in case you've been locked in a hole for the past 2 years and don't know anything about him. Ben is most well known as a television host and lead investigator on Sci-Fi Channel's Fact or Fake Paranormal Files. In his free time, Ben lectures and appears at conferences across the country. This official information about Ben, he will be appearing, and he's kind of hit a button. We're getting there. Ben leads a team of 5 specialists who travel along the world looking for answers of these mysteries and fact or faked. Confronting the relationships of seeing and believing, the team has witnessed and documented dozens of unbelievable events. Many people recite the phrase, "I'll believe it when I see it," balancing an inanimate human longing for rational explanation with the acceptance of witnessing undeniable strange events. Ben is also the president and co-founder.
With the UFO stuff, I've always been interested in that since I can remember, 5 years old. And it started with collecting, different newspaper clippings and things, anything that he talked about UFOs, and I was just so fascinated with any movie or anything dealt with the subject. And so I read a lot of books that my other friends were not reading.
Yeah. And it was,
so
when I was coming up too, it was a really big taboo subject. You didn't look in, now it's okay to be doing that, but I started this when I was 16 in this field, and it was really a taboo topic. You didn't go and tell your friends, hey, I go and, hunt ghosts or look in the sky for UFOs. That's just not something that you went and talked about.
No, you're right. It felt like, maybe not necessarily that I was doing anything wrong, but it was nerdy. It